because I am a housewife, I think people look down on that because of the work that is done, but that's a job in itself. And I always thought that I wanted to be an independent woman, but when you read to understand, this is the job that we are supposed to take on.
What is going on, everyone's? We are here and we are back with another episode of
Is My Point Valid?
Yes, indeed. I am yours truly, Brandon D.
And I am Camille A. Stocker.
And before we get into this episode, I want to first start by saying, if you get any value from our content, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like, hit that follow, hit that share, all of those good things, because that not only helps us grow, but these are also the conversations that people need to hear and the things that people should be a part of to improve society and all of that. So make sure y'all hit that subscribe button. And with that being said, we're going to go ahead and jump into the topic for today, which is going to be
Dear Independent Women.
Yes, indeed. When we hear independent women, my first thoughts are, I don't think most women want to be independent. I feel like that's a position that they take because when you get a man, when you get a husband, there's a certain level of control that he's going to want to have. And there's a certain level of submission that a woman should have. And I don't think women are willing to take that role on.
Well, I mean, I think you are willing to, but yeah, I think the number one argument that comes up is that men aren't being men, right? So that'll be the first argument. But I did believe that men aren't being men, but there is a reason why men aren't being men, and there's a reason why women do have to work. They don't have to, but why women are working harder or feeling that I have to do this independently, or I can do this. And that is, it all goes back to creation, right? It all goes back to Genesis 2. It all goes back to Genesis 2. I think it's 18.
Yeah, it is 18.
And it talks about Adam needing a helpmeet. And I wouldn't say about that word helpmeet because we've been conditioned to say help mate.
It's a meat.
Yes. Because people are playing that mate, like if you have a partner and like, this is my helpmate. So that is not what God, he said a help meet. And so clear that up, right? Or a helper to help. And so in Genesis 2:18, God puts Adam to sleep, and we know he takes the rib and he creates a woman, and Adam names, and if you don't know that Adam names like all the animals that God created, so that was his job. And so Adam names Eve woman, and that becomes his wife. That was the first thing of marriage. And so if you go on, you see that it doesn't say specifically in the Bible because I've never read it. But if you think about it, before the curse, before the fall, Adam and Eve were, and we talk about that in vows, you become one. So Adam and Eve were one. Adam was the leader and Eve was the follower, but they were one. They did everything together.
They were equal under God.
Right. They were equal under God.
Yeah.
So any of the work that needed to be done, they did together. Procreation, of course, that was together. Like everything was together. Everything that stopped being together once the snake or the serpent said, hey, Eve. So the serpent chose the follower, the not the leader.
Yeah.
And so when you choose the follower, well, let me put it like this. When the serpent chose Eve, she became the lead and Adam became the follower.
She took on a position she was never intended to have.
That was not supposed to happen.
It was not her position to step into that, but being disobedient, being gullible, as we would say, she took that on.
Right. And so that's what happened. So because they changed the roles, she became the lead and he became the follower. And so that's when God has said, put the curse on. And the curse, it was for women, which was crazy. But I read this, and this is out of a book called Your Family, and it's a John MacArthur. It's like a study thing about your family. And so it talks about how you build your family, how you build your marriage, your children, wives, what it is to submit, husbands, what it is to submit, because I think we'll get into that in a minute. So it says, she took the fruit, ate it, and gave it to her husband, and he ate it He took it and ate it. And here we see the reversal of their roles. So the roles were reversed.
She was leading Adam into eating the apple when he should have been leading her into what God was saying and telling her not to eat the apple.
Because God gave him the message. You can eat from any tree, right?
But not this one.
But not the tree of knowledge. So Adam knew that. Not saying Eve didn't know. Or maybe she didn't know. I don't know. That was
I believe that was told to him before
she was you can touch anything except that. So Adam knew that but
he was still led into the foolishness.
Right. So, and that's what happens a lot of today too, because of women. We want that, like you said, that control,
that power,
the power. It says the woman usurped the leadership of the man, and the man became the follower. God's design for marriage was twisted at that moment of temptation, and the legacy has been the defilement of marriage relations. Because there has been, since that one act, the reversal of the roles as God had designed them, marriage faces great difficulty. In fact, in the curse of Genesis 3, so we go to the next chapter of 16:19, we find that the most basic elements of human life are involved. And this goes for the woman of what was curses for us, right? And that's childbearing. That's why we have child pain, like not birthing pains.
Yeah.
That's why we go through it. That all of that, it was supposed to be a joyous moment of you being
conceiving,
pregnant and having your child without any pain. But because of Eve eating the fruit, and do not say apple because we are not sure what it was, but it was a fruit. That was why there is pain during childbirth. In marriage, this is a curse in your marriage. There will now be a problem in marriage because the man is going to rule over the woman in an oppressive way, and the woman will seek to rule over the man. So it's a battle. It's a constant battle. I want to be in charge. No, I want to be in charge. Like it's going to be a constant thing. The next was provision, and it says man will have to labor and sweat to earn a living and provide for his family. So when Adam was created, God was providing everything that he needed. He didn't have to work.
He didn't have to go to work.
He didn't have to kill to
labor
eat or make a fire.
Yeah.
God was providing all of that for him. And so that's the man's curse. And then in the last one it says, and here is life. God had said to Adam concerning the forbidden tree, in the day that you eat from it, you shall surely die. Now, he didn't physically die, but spiritually, sin entered into. And so that's how we get to all of this. I feel that this is how we get to the independence, and why people won't acknowledge simple books like this that are encouraging the Bible and encouraging submission, encouraging family, encouraging heterosexual
procreation.
Procreation.
Pro-life.
That was one of the things I had read today. So it's really interesting that is why there is so many women shouting, I can do this, because we're at battle. We're at a battle, and we won't
take our natural positions.
But we won't take our natural positions because we won't sit down with the Bible to get an understanding. We won't sit down with God with that one-on-one time. We want everybody else to hear that we know about God, right?
Yeah.
But are you taking
in that word?
Are you in the word to know that, I'm glad that I'm just getting this study on and to understand what my position is. And I know because I am a housewife, I think people look down on that because of the work that is done, but that's a job in itself. And I always thought that I wanted to be an independent woman, but when you read to understand, this is the job that we are supposed to take on.
And that's why it's so hard for women now when they do get into the workforce. They have to work harder to get the things that men are getting. They have to work harder to get like they're fighting for equal pay. When you're in a position that you should never be in, your position should be at home with your children, taking care of the family, taking care of the household. And the conversation we had earlier is it's crazy how we have teachers in schools who will leave their children or send their children to other teachers to teach their children, and they'll teach everybody else's kids. That is the craziest thing to me. Why aren't we teaching our own children and living a life of what the word says and falling in those positions?
Right. Yeah, it was. I'm telling you, I was just reading it because, like you said, it didn't make any sense, and we all go through that because that's what we've been conditioned to learn, not to learn, to do. You send your child to someone else, and like you said, it was crazy to think, okay, you're a professional teacher, you teach, but you have a classroom full of other kids who see you all day, and your child is seeing somebody else. Yep. Like, it really doesn't make sense.
Not at all.
And I'm not even going to try and make it make sense because that's it. It's a part of indoctrination. In my opinion, it's a part of indoctrination. And you said about working. It talks a lot about that in the Bible, as well as what the priorities of a woman is. And I was like, oh, snaps. Like, this is crazy. Like, I wrote it down, but I can't find it in my notes right now because there's so many things that I wrote. But there is this, is it a Greek word? Yes, it is a Greek word. It's called ergon, and ergon means works, because if you know that the Bible was translated. But it means...
Some people don't know that.
Ergon, it means work. And so we think that we have to make money in order for our households to run, or make a certain amount of money for our households to run. Now, you can run like a business, like from your home. You can sell things, something like that. But God's main focus was for us women to be at home, making sure there were meals done, making sure our home is clean. I also read in the Bible to make sure that your home, the community knows that they can be helped by a woman that is at home. I was like, that's kind of cool. Yeah. We are here to help elders. We are here to help our children, to school our children. I think I already said
that's meals. The difference between a help meet and a help mate. Women are supposed to help everyone. Yeah. They're not just supposed to help their significant other. Yeah. And that's the thing. That's where we get it twisted. I think that people like using help mate in that confusion because, I didn't know. So I think the only reason why I'm just bringing all this up is because I was, first off, I was just in Psalms. Like, I wasn't focused on, let me focus on family, right? I wasn't focusing on family. I was in Psalms, and I was in the Old Testament with the girls. So yeah, we were just leading, going through and following through the whole Bible on our way. But finding this book, like I said, it's been enlightening. I've been studying it. As soon as you go to work, I get up and I start reading everything. And I think you're supposed to, go into the Bible and read it for understanding, to understand the word. So let me ask you a question. Do you think women like the fact that they have to get up and go to work like I do?
Absolutely not. I don't think anybody enjoys that.
Why not?
Who wants to get up and go to work? Who wants to get up and go work? Like, I get it. It could be something satisfying, but who wants to get up and go work outside of their home, right? So I get to get up and I have to work. I still have work to do. I'm not exempt from any type of work at all. I still have to get up, and I still have to take care of myself, and I still have 2 girls that are here with me who I have to take care of, who I have to get ready, and who I have to prepare for their day. I'm still doing things. I'm still doing laundry. I'm still washing dishes. I'm making a meal. I'm creating curriculum. I am still doing things. I'm sweeping my floors. I'm mopping. Like, there is still work that has to be done. And I was listening to a podcast that was saying that women who do work, they still have to take on that it's not even extra work. They still have to take on their housework because their husbands aren't doing it, and not because it's not the role, but because we women that control feel that we need to do that as well.
But some men do feel like it's not their role.
Yeah, but
because I used to think like this. I go to work. I'm not finna come home and work some more.
But it's your home.
I understand that. I'm just speaking on a general basis.
I understand, but it's your home too. I get it. But there should be, you use the toilet too.
Absolutely.
You take a shower too, right? I know I'm doing it, but if you see that you need some clothes and I'm busy with something at the moment, you know how to load the thing. Like, those are moments, not saying it has to be.
It shouldn't be a gender role.
Right. It's not, because those are things that you have to do. Now, am I going to do majority of it? Yes, because I'm here. That's what my work is. Like, and I'm not complaining about it because I enjoy it. I don't think I've ever said that out loud, right? But I enjoy it. I think I've always been like a little embarrassed to say that I enjoy being at home because I felt that because I was
quote unquote.
I felt that because I was too dependent on my husband, that I was not fulfilling what I've seen other women who I know that are doing it.
And let's just be honest. There have been times where you felt like you needed to do more.
What do you mean? That
like as far as money?
Yes, because I felt
feelings
that if I went out, if I put my children back into school, and if I went out and I got a job and I made more money for us to do everything that we want to do, like extra equipment, whatever it is that I want to do with what I have extra, that we would be in a better position.
But wouldn't that go back to my favorite Bible verse? Lean not on your own understanding.
Right. And like I said, every time I fill out a job application or something, I had filled one out for something, and it was like, the interview is this day at this time. I was like, well, I can't make it, right? So I was like, I can't make it. And so
that might have been a sign.
Right. And so then, but every time I've done something, it's been like, no, and then for me, it's like, God is saying, do you trust me?
Yeah.
Do you trust me?
Or he might be saying, sit down somewhere.
I think it's do you trust me? Do you trust me? I've let you come this far by not ever working.
I brought you this far.
By not ever working. So do you really trust me?
Do you think you're happier in this position than you would be if you were out there working?
I am definitely happier because, this was 11 years ago when I was working, and I was miserable not being with Ava, and she was with my mama, but I just was like,
it gave you separation anxiety?
Sure, if you want to use that. If you want to use
I know people who go through that.
If you want to use that word. I just wanted to be with my baby, and she was a baby. She was a baby. And so I felt she was with the best person in the whole wide world, but still that's your child. Yeah. And it didn't feel, it didn't feel good for me to have to get dropped off and leave my baby in the back seat of the car. Right. It didn't feel good. I talk about anxiety of my children leaving while they went to school. That didn't feel right to me. So I don't know, did it not fit? It didn't feel right before you got the reasoning behind it, why it didn't feel right. Right. I would get anxious. I didn't want my children to leave me. Yeah. Not on you need to be with me type stuff, but I get anxious when they stay with my mama, spend the night. They go with your mama. It's still a thing because they're my children. And that's a contrast to a lot of women these days, because they'll be happy to send their children on somewhere so they can go live their life. I'm not saying I don't enjoy that. Yeah. But it's still a thing of, or maybe it's just a routine, right? Maybe if I sent them off every weekend and I just knew that, okay, well, y'all are going with grandma, or are you going with Nana? Then maybe that would be. But a lot of what we talk about, we do things together, right? We do things together. Now, of course, there's always going to be times where we go off and we have a date night, or we want to be alone, or something like that. That's obvious. But I feel like my job is to take care of my husband. But right now in this period, my time is to also raise my children, right? I feel like my mama, my daddy, or my sister, or whomever, that's not their job to always have my children. Absolutely. In my opinion, that I don't feel like, that's their job. So, I enjoy being a wife. I enjoy being a housewife. I used to be embarrassed by it. I used to not want to talk about it because it's like, well, I'm not doing what you're doing. You're making money, and you can go buy whatever it is that you want. And little do I know that I'm thinking like we're having a rough time, but they're also having a rough time as well, even though there might be two incomes, Yeah. And I think independent women are having an even rougher time because they have to do it all. Yeah. And like I said before, when women go into the workforce, they're gonna make less money than the men are. Yeah, I also was listening to that same podcast that was saying that you that there could be trouble if you are a married woman and you go out to work, because more than likely you're going to have to start listening to the boss, and the boss might want you to dress a type of way, a certain way or something, and you take that authority over your husband's authority. Yeah. And I think that's where the curse comes in again, because it's like you're rather, if your boss is a man, you're taking authority from another man who is not your husband, and then you come home and you have conflict with your husband, and that's not a good thing for your marriage.
You're more willing to submit to a boss than you are your husband.
Right. Yes,
and
that's what
your husband is he's gonna feel some type of way about that.
Yeah, that's
because you do everything for that boss man with no lip. And you come home and you give me all the lip in the world when I have things that I want done. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I can see how that can be conflict.
We had watched an episode of In the Heat of the Night, and you remember her boss was like telling her, I guess he was attracted to her or whatever, but she ended up killing him. Yeah. But the husband took the fall. And in that, y'all tell y'all husbands if something's going wrong, because that's how we think we have to protect ourselves. But that's how you get a man's protection. And we think that we just have to, if we don't say anything, that it's just gonna go blow over. Nah. But at the end of the day,
if it blows up, then he gonna be like, "Why you never told me anything?"
And at the end of the day, like, a man is a man, right? They're bigger than us. They are stronger than us. We can't defend ourselves unless, like, we have, like, you got your gun or something, or weapon on you or something. But if you are in a setting, like I'm talking about in the heat of the night, where did she take a gun?
She took a gun to the office.
There. So why do we let it lead up there when we can say to our husbands, "Hey, this is what's happening at work"? But her whole thing was, when we go back, her husband didn't have a job, and so she was like, "I don't want to lose my job, because what is my family going to do?" Right? And at the end of the day, as married women, that is not our priority. To work, to make the money, to be the breadwinner. And that's also what this book said as well. We aren't the breadwinners. The men are the breadwinners. I said, oh, well, let me sit down.
You got to sit down somewhere. That's what women need to learn. And that's a part of that control. The Bible says that in so many words, you need to sit down somewhere.
Yeah, it said,
you need to be you need to allow the man to step into that position. And when you don't allow him to step in that position, it's a problem.
Yeah, it said, I found the notes for it. It says, working outside the home brings other authorities. I should not be absent from the home, and women must follow God-given priorities. And the woman is not to be the breadwinner. And it's scripture, so we are being disobedient.
Absolutely.
So we just really just like, forget what you're saying. We gonna do what we do, and
like the story of I think it was Saul, I believe I read, and it was saying how he gave him specific instructions through Samuel and Solomon or something like that. But anyway, he gave him specific instructions on what to do to a certain type of people, and when he went to the place where he was supposed to do it at, and he didn't do all of the things that God said, he kind of made excuses as to why he didn't do what he did. He was kind of trying to.
Taking your own. I know.
Taking the lead for himself. I'm doing this because I know what needs to be done. Even though I heard what you said, I'm gonna do it my way.
Right. That's how a lot of things play out. Like, I'm gonna read the Bible, right, and I'm gonna take in everything. I'm gonna take all this in, but tomorrow I might not want to submit. Like, you get what I'm saying? Tomorrow I might not feel like, I might be like, oh, Brandon wants me to do that. Like, we should not complain. Like, that's in the Bible too, right? So there are things but it's just about, once you in it and you read it and you're talking about Solomon, and you see that everybody in the Bible has been told to do something.
Yeah, numerous times.
A whole bunch of times. But it hasn't been like a bunch of follow through. You can, if you know the story of Moses, and Moses was like,
that was his number one guy.
That was his OG prophet. Like, Moses was that guy. Mm-hmm. But Moses ain't see the promised land. But why? And for the long time, for being disobedient. And it was something so simple. Mm-hmm. God told him to speak to the rock. Well, what Moses do? He hit the rock and the water came.
Yeah.
And it was something
he took claim to the things that God was doing.
And something so simple that could have deterred his journey to get. Well, he saw the promised land. God put him up on the mountain to see it, but he didn't get to touch it, right? And so I think for us, that is the same thing. Our names are not in the Bible, right? We don't have chapters and people aren't reading about us. But we read these stories and it's like, oh, well, I was disobedient during this. Well, what do I learn from this? Or what am I supposed to get from this? How am I going to apply this into my life? And it's about submitting not just to your husband, but to God. Yeah. Because husbands are also, I think women take this out of context as well, because it's like women. I will talk about a woman because I am a woman and I feel like we need to be responsible and what's the word I am looking for? And take ownership of what it is that we need to do. But men are also, God ain't leave men out and be like, you know,
we got to submit to the God like women should submit to the man. It's just like the law of things. It's God, Jesus, man, woman, child. So we need to fall in order, and everyone above needs to be submissive to that higher power.
Yeah, because in Ephesians 5:25-33, if you want to read all of that, but I'm just read the first part. It says, husbands, love your wives just as Christ also loved the church and gave himself up for her. Right, so the church is the her, and God is the him. The him. He's the groom, right? And he might sanctify her, having cleansed her by the washing of water with the word, that he might present to himself the church in all her glory, having no spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that she should be holy and blameless. And he's talking about the church, but that also applies to us women. We're imperfect people. We will continue to say that. So I think that is where we get this independence from. Like, that is the curse. It's going to continue to happen. There are going to continue to be independent women who say, I can do all, I can do it all, I can do it all. Yeah. Or I am enough. I can't stand that term. When people be like, I am enough. We're not enough. God is enough. And he's the one who fills us. So, you know, that's my take on that. So women just need to know the role of a woman, what submission is. Submission is, and it's not about a man ruling over us. A man, that's not his goal. And if that is what he is saying, he is wrong. He is out of order. He is out of line. That is not.
He's what you would call, or like women say, he's a narcissist.
Don't like that either. But like, he is out of order. And then you need to, I also learned this. I was just learning everything. Your job, and I'm guilty of this. Whenever I feel like I've done something, you better bet your bottom dollar that I am going to, try and say this is what I've done. But I'm guilty of this. You see scriptures. You might be on Pinterest. You might be on Facebook, Instagram, and you see scripture, and it applies to your spouse, and you send it. Like, I hope he gets this message. Like, that is not what we're supposed to do. You're supposed to be learning.
You're trying to convict me.
Right. That's not what we're supposed to do. Our job is not to save our spouses. Our job is to save ourselves. Hear me out. We are supposed to save ourselves. And what I mean by that is, how you gonna tell somebody else to get right and you not right, and you not getting right yourself. And if you are a Christian and you believe women, then your husband is like covered as well, because remember, you're one. So if he's not believing, it's not your job to continue to push and push and push and push. Well, you need to do this, and you need to read your Bible, and you need to. I'm guilty of it. Brandon, have you read today? Have you did this? I send scriptures. I send this and all this, but I stopped, because when a person sees you doing something, then maybe they'll want to do it too.
Absolutely.
And you're doing it because you want to do it, not because you're trying to get something and push this on somebody else. That's not how this works. I don't know if I touched anything for independent women. I don't know. I gave a whole lot of scripture. You ain't got nothing. You look.
I'm with you.
Oh, I don't know. I just and the crazy thing about this is, we received this box of books from your mother, and so I went through the box, and it was encyclopedias. I thought it was just encyclopedias, and this book was in there, and I said, well, it's John MacArthur. I use the NASB book Bible anyway, so let me see what he's talking about. And I like that if I can just touch it and see what God said, God's word, then I know like this is it. We follow a lot of people who are I don't follow a lot of people, but people follow a lot of people who are married, and they're saying a lot of different things. You are following women who are very, very independent. I can do this. You follow. You see. I don't need no man. Right. Or you see women walking around being disrespectful. And I think, in my honest opinion, when we stop disrespecting ourselves, then others, and this is all around. This is men, women, children. When we all stop disrespecting ourselves and show respect to others and ourselves, then that is really when things will probably take a turn, because we'll have some sense to be like, oh. Because people are going to react to you with the same energy that you're giving. If you're giving disrespect and all of these negative things, people are going to give them back to you. If you act with kindness, caring, respect, people will also give those things back to you. Majority of the time. Yeah. Unless they're just a terrible person. Right. But most people, they strive to be better people. That's the goal. That you would think that is the goal that you're teaching, but we see it. And I'm going to say this. You see it on social media. Mm-hmm. I don't see it in real life. Yeah. And that's what bothers me, because it's like, there's a lot of things that are on social media that we don't necessarily see in real life. That's what I'm saying. It's a narrative that's being pushed. So that's what it's like. I be out and I don't see all this. Yeah. That be posted. And then it's posted so much. We want to be so trendy. We want to be in the now, in the know, that these negative connotations, these negative actions are being pushed over and over. We're reposting and sharing all of these things. So it seems like it's a lot of it, but it's really not. It's not. These are isolated events. It's isolated events, and it's probably in certain areas, and it's probably in areas that I'm definitely not going to. So that's a thing, of course. Like, be women to be careful where you're going to places. Have somebody who is responsible to be with you. If I even have somebody who's familiar with the territory. Yes, because you still see, like, you get on Instagram, you see videos of men like still drugging, trying to drug women like still go to clubs, like, but you see a lot of it on, and I'm like, maybe it's because I'm not in those territories. Maybe it's because I just stop placing yourself in positions and places that you really ain't ready for. I'm not even gonna say ready for. I don't think you just need to be in those places. You ain't ready for it. Don't be in those places. If you don't want some guy whispering or dancing behind you, don't go, and stop shaking it. Don't put yourself in those things. And like, Camille, it's hard. I gotta go. Don't. Who said you have to? Who says you have to do all these things that have been placed on, like we're saying, social media, that is saying you have to be this person. Who is saying you have to listen to these songs? Who is telling you to be, what was it? It's Webby, right? INDEPEDENT. Do you know what that means? Right? She drive her own, boy. That was like an anthem for women. Man, I was in the 9th grade. I had that whole Webby CD. I burned it. Matter of fact, I think I still got that album. Still probably got it, or I might have thrown it away. But like, I feel you can be independent, but the way that independent women are being portrayed, we need help from men. We do need help. And I think women need to stop thinking that a man's most valuable asset is the money that he makes. He also is there. Joking. No, because if somebody go upside your head, then you're going to want my protection, right? Everybody going to go upside my head. No, I'm just saying, hypothetically speaking. But it's your money. No, your money, that's the least of your worries. Nah. It's your money. Have you seen the social media? There was this woman who put some Ken dolls on her hood of her trunk, and she called I think it was her husband. She called him. It says a bunch of men sitting on mine, and he ran out there ready to do something. Yeah.
Yeah. If that was real men sitting on your hood and you ain't have no man, you probably wouldn't have said nothing to him.
They were Barbies.
I understand that. I'm saying if it was real men.
I'm getting out the car and I'm running.
Straight up.
But yeah, so we need the menses, and I'm a married woman, so I'm not independent, but I sometimes be like, I can be independent, but it's not true.
You should try it out sometime.
I will.
Interesting.
You should try it out sometimes. When you put it on the table, I'm gonna take it.
Huh. Oh yeah.
You just said
that don't mean just because I put it on the table don't mean you should take it.
I'm gonna take it.
All right, that's what's up. We gonna see. I feel you. But yeah, independent women, you need some menses, like Camille just said. A menses.
I said menses.
It's a menses.
I didn't say menses. I said men.
Yes. But yeah, that's just what it is. We need to get into that word, stay in that word, because we all fall short sometimes. But you gotta have
short all the time.
Yeah. But you gotta have some reference to get back on the right track. If you don't have that reference, you're gonna keep going to the doggone left this way and not the right.
Yeah, but we just need the understanding too of what our role is meant to be, what we are to do. As a single woman, as a married woman, there are rules for single women as well. I didn't touch on them, but there are rules. There are rules for everybody, and we just have to be open and willing to say, hey, I want to change this. I don't want to live this way anymore, or, oh, that makes sense on what y'all were saying, like whatever it is. And I'm not going to take Brandon up on his offer, okay? But submission is not a bad thing. Being independent is not a bad thing, but it's the way that we are saying that it has been projected. Learn about the curse, learn about the fall, learn about Eve eating the fruit and why all these things are happening. But at the end of the day, men need women and women need men. So don't ever think that is not what it is.
And we should be respecting each other.
Yes.
No matter how you feel about the one or the other, there should always be respect. So with that being said, we're going to check y'all next week with another hot episode. And if, like I said before, if you get any value, please hit that subscribe, share this stuff, like this stuff, help us grow, because we're trying to be in front of as many eyes as possible. Because like I said, these are the conversations that need to be had, the things that people need to hear. And like always, it's love, peace, and soul.
Bye.
Like Soul Train, baby.